Welcome back. I don't have a rabbit because this is a big review, and I've got to have the book here. And then it's late. She's in her hutch. She's probably asleep right now. And it's a good thing she was in the hutch before the games all came to an end, because she doesn't need to see that kind of bloodshed like we saw in the last game that finished out tonight. But let's start off with the beginning of the night. And this was, I have to say, the most exhausting night I've had yet with trying to track everything that's going on. There was a lot of scoring going on in some of these games, and so I'm doing my best, right? So, Toronto versus Buffalo, it's Wall versus Dell. We didn't expect a goaltending duel. However, they did all right in places here. Early chances for the Sabres, but it's Toronto that gets on the board first. It's Kampf from Kerfoot and Engvall at 2:43. That was the first shot. So while the chances were there for the Sabres, they didn't get any on net, but they got shots after that. The shots were 3-1 for Buffalo at 8 minutes. The Sabres get a power play. That was a no. However, Skinner would score from Miller and Okposo at 14:42. The Sabres then get a second power play. That was also a no. There was a 3-on-2 for the Sabres. No shot on that. The Sabres didn't have another power play in this game. We go to the second period. This was not an overly physical game either. Makes sense. There wasn't a lot of penalties. There was a press by the Sabres at 4 minutes. Skinner had a chance that was denied. Kerfoot had a rush chance that was stopped. But then it's Kasha. So again, Kasha can get red hot. Scores from Tavares at 7:18. And then it's Bunting a minute and 10 seconds later. He scores from Muzzin and Spezza. So at 8:28, it's 3-1 for Toronto. The Sabres did try to answer. So a lot of fight in these Buffalo Sabres. Hinostroza with a break. His stick decided now is a good time to die. So nothing happened there. Okposo had a net drive. The Sabres press. And eventually, Tage Thompson scores from Skinner and Pesek at 17:33. So entering the third period, it's 3-2 for Toronto. In said third period, early chances for the Sabres. Thompson had a chance to go high. The Leafs press at 4 minutes. Brody had a chance which deflected high. The Leafs get a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Eakin, but he ends up going offside. And then on that power play, Toronto ends up scoring. So their only power play of the night, and they score on it. It's Tavares from Riley and Marner at 9:22. So that makes it 4-2. And you're watching this as a Leafs fan, you're like, well, it's a 2-goal lead against Buffalo. That should be the game. Not necessarily. The Leafs Skinner scores from Thompson at 10:47. The Leafs nearly answered, but when the puck goes the other way, Dahlin gets a goal to tie it from Ruotsalainen and Okposo at 11:46. So Kyle Okposo with a couple of helpers. It's a 4-4 tie. Wall had a player's stick on that one too, and when that puck went in, I think it was Marner's, and he threw Marner's stick in disgust. Matthews then couldn't bury one. We had 2:30 left, but with 12 seconds left, they avoid overtime, which was good because there was some overtime tonight. Riley from Kerfoot at 19:48. I was really concerned that I wasn't going to be able to follow all of it. But yeah, Riley from Kerfoot, and it just barely, it's one of those things that, man, Buffalo's so close to getting a point out of this. They fall to 6-6-2. Toronto goes to 10-5-1. They're quietly putting together a very good record. Your 3 stars are Skinner, Thompson, and Tavares. I'm guessing those 3 stars were put in before we got to the end of the game, because it's weird that 2 of the 3 are Buffalo, but it's fine. Shots 13-5 Buffalo in the first, 8-7 Toronto in the second, 13-7 Toronto in the third. Final shots 27-26 for the Sabres. Power plays, Toronto 1-for-1, Buffalo 0-for-2. There were 7 hits by both teams in this game. That's low. Wall saves 23 of 27. Dell saved 21 out of 26. And yeah, Buffalo, it is just, slipping away with Buffalo. I'll talk about it in the power rankings tonight, because I was really, concerned yesterday about how the power rankings might end up turning out. Tonight, with the results that we get, I feel like there's a little more clarity, and I'm okay with where the power rankings are at right now. But yeah, so Buffalo falling off, but for Toronto, they get a big win. Ottawa. This was a game that didn't have a ton of life in it in the first period, and then all of a sudden, all the scoring happens. So it was DeSmith versus Gustafson. DeSmith's numbers coming into tonight were not great. Jari was not available. Demang's the backup. Penguins press at 3 minutes. The shots were 1-0 in favor of the Sens at 6 minutes. I'm not lying when I say that this was a kind of a slow starting game. Bluger was robbed. The Penguins were taking control of this at the half. The Penguins also pressuring with 6:30 left. There's a power play for the Penguins. They end up with a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 38 seconds. There was a shorthanded chance for Logan Shaw during that, and they killed it. So they get a breakaway when they're 3 versus 5, and then they ended up killing it off as well. Last minute, the Senators had a rush that fizzled, but we go to the second period. Penguins get a power play. That was a no. Batherson nearly gets one, but Ottawa opens the scoring. It's Zach Sanford from Bernard Docker and Shabbat at 5:21. If you are a Sens fan who's wanted to see Bernard Docker in the lineup, tonight's game won't change that at all. The Senators then get a power play, and they score on it as Delzato from Batherson and Tierney at 10:40. Good thing Batherson was cleared not too long before the game, huh? And then Parker Kelly gets a goal, which is good because he's been working pretty hard. He gets his first from Shaw and Thompson. So Lassie Thompson's on the board as well at 11:07. Makes it 3-0. Then the Senators get a power play, and they score on it. And it's Stützle with his first goal of the year, thankfully, finally gets it from Batherson at 17:49. That makes it 4-0. Then the Senators get a power play to end the first period. Second period. Penguins complete the kill at the start of the third. The Senators get another power play. They don't score on that one. However, Batherson would score from Ennis and Delzato at 9:40. So it's 5-0. Game's done. It's all finished. All right, guys, we'll go home. It's Pittsburgh. Kapanen from Friedman at 11:49, 5-1. Rodriguez from Kapanen at 12:55, it's 5-2. And then Rodriguez again from Letang and Gensel at 15:57. I've always been an Evan Rodriguez fan. I'm glad to see him getting some goals and points. So Pittsburgh going, hey, why don't we just pull the goalie? They did. That lets Batherson hit the empty net from Tkachuk and Norris at 19:11. Ottawa, it's not a pretty victory, but they win 6-3. They move to 4-9-1 for Pittsburgh. They're 5-4-4. They need their star players back. Your 3 stars are Batherson, Rodriguez, and Delzato. The shots were 7-6 Pittsburgh in the first, 14-12 Ottawa in the second, 12-4 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots 31-24 for the Penguins. Power plays, the Penguins go 0-4. Ottawa 2-3. The hits were 30-16 in favor of Ottawa. DeSmith 18 saves on 23 shots. Gustafsson 28 saves on 31 shots. And that really tells the story right there, is the difference in the save percentages. All right, next up, Montreal. So Montreal had won both games in Montreal. Now they get their final game against Detroit. It's in Detroit. And it seemed like it might be a little different. It's Allen versus Nedeljkovic. The Habs press early. There was a power play for the Wings. That is unsuccessful. And then Poehling scores his first. So Poehling comes up. He gets a goal from Pezzetta and Wideman at 4:39. The Wings then press for an answer. The shots, though, were 5-4 for the Habs at the half. They come out playing a very good road game. Pezzetta had a chance to stop. The Wings get a power play. That was unsuccessful. With 1:49 left, we get an offsetting, like it's a 4-on-4. And what had happened was Allen was crashed by Larkin. So a crowd forms because Larkin's run over the goaltender. However, Petrie pushed Larkin into Allen. And what happens on the play is that Allen is hurt, but Larkin was shaken up too. And considering his concussion history, it's not great to see Larkin down like that and go, did he hit his head? And that, that is always going to be a concern for Detroit fans, right? So the Habs end up with a power play with 47.1 seconds left. Allen would make his exit, and Montembeault goes in. Hoffman hits a post, but we go to the second period. No Allen at the start of the second period. He would not return to this game. Larkin would score from Hronik and Bertuzzi at 2:36. Not a fantastic goal. And then they score again. This one was a good goal. Suter from Fabry and Sider at 3:21. So 2 goals in less than a minute for Detroit. And suddenly they're ahead. Montembeault has to be feeling a lot of pressure, right? Habs then get a power play. Toffoli's denied not long after. Stevens was hurt colliding with the boards. Hopefully he's okay. Nemesnikov nearly buries one. But we go to the third period with Detroit up 2-1. Early in the third, Wideman ties it from Lehkonen at 2:33. The Habs would then press at about the 9-minute mark. Keep in mind, there's a lot of games going on at this stage. 10 different games going on, a lot of scoring going on too. I'm following as much as I can. Neutral zone being jammed up by the Habs. Suzuki to Toffoli nearly connects. Savard had a shot that was saved. Petrie defends a Wings chance late, but we go to overtime. In the overtime, the Wings control it early. Evans gets the puck, can't bury one. Larkin gets knocked down. The Habs control it. However, the Wings get it back, and Raymond passes it to Larkin, and on a 2-on-1, it's a goal at 1 minute and 41 seconds. Detroit wins in overtime 3-2. They go to 8-6-2 on the season. Montreal, they drop to 4-10-2. We are 20% of the way through the season, and they have 4 wins. It's not a great start. 3 stars, Wideman, Larkin, and Nedeljkovic. Shots, 9-8 Montreal in the first, 14-13 Detroit in the second, 14-10 Montreal in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime. Detroit, the one that matters. Final shots, 37-33 for Montreal. The power plays, Montreal 0-for-3, Detroit 0-for-2. Hits, 25-22 for Montreal. Jake Allen saves all 8 shots before he exits. Montembeault saves 22 out of 26 in relief. Or 22 out of 25 in relief. Sorry, it should be 25. I wrote a 26. I was rushing trying to get these all cleared up and all filled out so I could get this board put aside. Nedeljkovic, 35 saves on 37 shots at the other end. Nedeljkovic is having a very good year. I'm still bewildered as to how he ends up in Detroit, but I think Wings fans are pretty happy with him, and rightfully so. All right, next up, the Battle of Florida. So I understand that right now there's going to be a lot of people that are like, well, that's it, jump off the bandwagon. Florida's bandwagon's going to clear out. I don't see that as being a problem. I think Florida's been really, really close in some games. I don't think they've been outplayed really badly. I think they're still playing well. They just haven't been getting the breaks. And they're playing the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions, so you got to give them a little bit of a break on that, right? So it's Bobrovsky versus Vasilevsky. Good start by the Panthers. Belmar then nearly gets a goal at the other end. A crossbar then for Jan Ruda. Break for Duclair. Vasilevsky denies him there. Things get scrummy at 5:20 because these teams don't like each other. Hornquist is in the middle of it because that's what happens, and so we end up with a 4-on-4. The Bolts get a power play shortly thereafter, and Maroon scores on that power play at 12:17. So it's 1-0 Tampa. Verhaeghe had a wraparound that wouldn't go. Cirelli fires one high. The Panthers get a power play, but that is unsuccessful. We go to the second period. Both teams keeping the play to the outside. The defense tonight was pretty solid in this game for both squads. They play a similar style of hockey. Killorn had a shot that was saved. No sustained presses that I saw in the first 5 minutes. Hedman then scores to make it 2-0 from Tkachuk and Bogosian at 9:02. I believe that's Tkachuk's first point. And so, yeah, it's 2-0, but not for long. Huberdeau answers that at 12:59, and then Luostarinen scores from Ekblad at 13:35. So it's a tie game all of a sudden with 2 goals in 36 seconds. So that's what Florida can do, right? Panthers try for a lead as the fans get really quiet in Tampa. Bobrovsky leaves no rebound for Colton, and then we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. We go to the third period. Barkov fires one high. Weegar had a chance on a rush that was saved. There was a press by the Panthers with 6.5 minutes left. Vasilevsky denies the Panthers in the final 5 minutes. Again, the Panthers are playing well. In the event that the Panthers were getting run out of the rink, I'd be concerned, but I'm not. Things get scrappy with 5:26 left, and in the last minute, there were chances for the Bolts. But we go to overtime. Beast mode Sasha Barkov on the opening faceoff. He's not able to bury it, but when he's in beast mode, it's fun to watch. Hedman had a break. He was denied. Vasilevsky was then the one that was denying right after. And then on a breakaway goal on a stretch pass, it is Point scoring the goal from Palat. And it was a beautiful stretch pass by Palat. And as soon as Point's in by himself, I'm like, that's not fair. So Tampa Bay wins 3-2 in overtime. They go to 7-3-3 on the season. Florida drops to 10-2-3 again. I expect people to say, well, that's it. You know, I guess they're not that good. I think they're fine. The 3 stars, Point, Vasilevsky, and Hedman. Your shots, 6 apiece in the first. Very good defensive game. 11-9 Florida in the second. 9-7 Florida in the third. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime. Final shots, 28-24 for Florida. Power plays, both teams had 1. Florida didn't score on theirs. Tampa Bay did score on theirs. The hits, 30-25 for Tampa. Bobrovsky, 21 saves on 24 shots. Vasilevsky, 26 saves on 28 shots. And now, I need to change boards. And next up is the New York Rangers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So when there's this many games going on, there'll be the game that I have on this computer right here behind me. So it's basically like I treat it like it's the radio, right? Where I'm listening to the radio while I'm watching the TV, and I'm, you know, scrolling between as many games I can follow as possible. And tonight it was a challenge. There were so many, and it's because so many games are close. So when I watch this, normally there'll be like a lopsided game. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to track that one, right? Like the Ottawa-Pittsburgh game tonight, where it was kind of, lopsided. And so I'm like, all right. And then, of course, 3 goals from Pittsburgh, because of course. So this one is Shesterkin versus Merzlikins. There was an early power play for Columbus. That was a no. Bjorkstrand gets a good chance. Columbus gets a power play. And on the second power play, they do score. It's Voracek with his first goal as a Columbus Blue Jacket, I do believe, from Bjorkstrand and Sillinger at 8:59. That wipes out the whole idea that Shesterkin's going to get a shutout. Is Merzlikin's going to ask for respect. Panarin then nearly answers. Nyquist had a chance that was saved, and then Panarin does score at 17:28 from Fox and Strome. Robinson then fires one wide, and Dryden Hunt was denied in the final minute by Merzlikin. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, Bjorkstrand had a shot that was saved. The shots are 3-1 Columbus at 6 minutes. And then Robinson scores at 6:56 from Bean and Werenski, and he scored right over the arm of Shesterkin. So probably not the best goal scored on Shesterkin this year, but the Rangers, they make up for it. Kreider scores from Trouba at 7:39. That was after a turnover in the Columbus zone. And then at 8:15, Panarin scores from Strome. And then at 8:42, so 3 times in a minute and 3 seconds, Trouba from Gaudreau and Gauthier. That's 3 goals from the Rangers. Yeah, minute and 3 seconds. 4 goals in the game in a little under 2 minutes, and it's ridiculous. And while these goals were being scored, there were goals in a lot of other games, and it was getting to the point where I might have been saying some words I wouldn't say in videos. But yeah, Columbus calls a timeout. Probably should have called the timeout after the Panarin goal, but it happens. We then get a power play for the Rangers. That was a no. Kakko to Strome. Strome's chance is blocked. Last minute, the Rangers get a power play. So we go to the third period. Panarin hits a crossbar. And then that power play marker, it's Kreider from Zibanejad and Fox at 52 seconds. So that power play in the last minute for the Rangers, they cash in on it late in that power play, and that makes it 5-2. Texier then had a wraparound that was saved. Columbus gets a power play. Chinakhov is still completely snake bit. He is apparently not getting a goal this year. There are always players any given season that I look at and go, well, he's not getting one, and I don't like seeing it, but it does happen. Blaine with a net drive goes wide. I believe he doesn't have a goal yet this year, and I know Reeves doesn't because he was denied goal number 1 as I put on the board. And then Texier scores from Gavrikov and Bayreuth at 13:15, and things get scrappy right after that goal. These teams not necessarily liking each other, and the fans getting a little bit more fired up, but 5-3 is as close as it'll get. Shesterkin ends up going to the quiet room. Georgiev was in. He did finish the game, so that's what leads to the scrappiness after that goal. And so we'll see. We'll see whether or not Shesterkin's out for a while or if he's okay. I haven't checked any reports yet, so we'll see. But the Rangers win 5-3. They go to 8-3-3 on the season. Columbus drops to 7-5. Your 3 stars, Panarin, Kreider, and Fox. The shots, 12-9 Columbus in the first. 19-7 Rangers in the second. So that Columbus defense didn't get it done in the second. And then in the third, the shots are 17-13 for Columbus. Final shots, 41-36 for the Rangers. Power plays, Rangers 1 for 2, Columbus 1 for 3. The hits were 28-10 for the Rangers. So they were physical, and they were out shooting them. Shesterkin saves 31 out of 34 before he exits. He does get the win. Georgiev saves both shots he faced, and Merzlikin saves 36 out of 41 at the other end of the ice. So we'll see what's happening with Shesterkin and if he's okay. Again, I hope so. But the Rangers do get the victory tonight. Next up, LA. So the Kings came into today with a nice long winning streak. And probably should have won this game. Honestly, probably should have. That being said, the Jets, they showed some fight back. The Jets at some point, this is weird because they have a good record. At some point, I think the Jets are really going to get it going. I don't think they have yet, and I know where they're at the standings, and I know what the record is. I just don't think we've seen the best from them yet. It's Peterson versus Hellebuck. The Jets controlled the play early, and they would score. It's Connor from Stanley and Dubois at 1:59. Kopitar then had a drive that was saved, but then Grundstrom ties it from Moore at 4:02. Roy's then denied, and we're getting some back-and-forth chances at 1-1. The shots were 7-5 for the Jets at 8 minutes. And then the Kings get a power play, and they were playing well. There was a shorthanded chance for Kopp. They did kill off that power play. 2 shots for the Kings on that. Jets then get a power play. It was unsuccessful. Roy at a point shot goes wide. The Jets were shot blocking there. Late rush chance for Moore. That was saved. So second period, and we feel that momentum is picking up for LA, and it goes overboard in the second period. Peterson, big back-to-back saves early in the second, and then, well, things go kind of quiet. Line juggling by the Jets. The shots are 3-1 for the Kings at the half, so those back-to-back saves, only one of them counted as a save. Lemieux scores from Lizotte and Mata at 14-22. It makes it 2-1 Kings. The Jets would try to answer. The Kings had a rush chance late that fizzled. But I got to be honest, to me it looked like the Kings were snuffing this one out. They only allowed 2 shots in the second period. Third period, a little more fight back from the Jets. Press for the Kings at 2 minutes. Dillon then had a shot that was blocked. Kopitar with a rush. The Kings press. There were 10 minutes and 46 seconds between shots for the Winnipeg Jets in this game, so that's a problem. Crowd was quiet as the Kings were just smothering out the game. There was an extended period without a whistle. Hellebuck was also the one holding it at 2-1. There was some good opportunities there for the Kings. The Kings get a power play. During said power play, DeMello, I believe this is his first career shorthanded goal, is what they said. I know it's his first goal in like 4 seasons. 13-36. And then Moore had a chance on a turnover that fizzles out, and we go to overtime. Early in the overtime, it only went 32 seconds, but right off the face-off, Scheifele had a chance that was stopped. He wasn't stopped on the next one. Ehlers to Scheifele, 32 seconds. He gets his first goal of the year. That could be big. Scheifele is a point-per-game guy who has not been getting that early this season. The Jets go to 8-3-3 with a 3-2 overtime victory. For the Kings, they drop to 8-5-2. There's nothing to panic about with the Kings here. Yes, the winning streak is over, but they still got a point in this one, right? 3 stars, DeMello, Scheifele, and Grundstrom. The shots were 14-10 LA in the first, 10-2 LA in the second, 9-4 Winnipeg in the third. In the overtime, 2-1 in favor of Winnipeg. Final shots, 29-23 for LA. Power plays, 0-2 for the Kings, 0-1 for Winnipeg. Hits were 39-19 for the Jets. Peterson saves 20 out of 23. Hellebuck saves 27 out of 29. May not have been one of the 3 stars, but he was a focal point for how this game is a victory for the Winnipeg Jets, because they were outshot 24-12 after 2 periods, and yet they were only behind by 1 because he was playing very well. All right, and we'll see how the Jets do from here. Next up, Carolina and St. Louis. So this was a battle between 2 pretty highly rated teams in the NHL, right? It's Hofer versus Lyon. Who had that matchup before this season? We've seen some really interesting matchups with the goaltenders. I'm glad I tracked this because, yeah, I don't think we ever see Hofer versus Lyon again. So early chances for the Canes and Jarvis. Shea would score from Aho and Svechnikov at 1:15. And it was the first shot on net, and I felt bad for Hofer. I thought, you know what? This is a team that's so charged and overpowered that I don't know that a goaltender who's normally a third stringer, it should be against this attack. Not that it, I mean, yes, it's a third stringer in net for Carolina too, right? But Lyon has the previous experience in the NHL. Teravainen then had a blast that was saved. The Canes get a power play, or they didn't. Jarvis scored during a delayed penalty, but the whistle had gone. So they declared that there was a turnover, so it's not a power play goal, so it does become a power play. Aho gets an almost goal during that. The Blues did survive, though. The Canes were taking over the game, but Thomas had a rush chance that was saved. The Blues get a power play late. It doesn't score, but the shots even out before the period's done. Second period, the Canes get a power play. They score on this one. Aho on the power play from D'Angelo and Svechnikov at 3:44. It was a fantastic pass by D'Angelo. The Canes then press for another, but Buchnevich had a net drive. Lyon saves on that one. Shea misses one high. The Canes press. Parayko to Svechnikov, or Parayko and Svechnikov get tangled up. Blues get a power play. Svechnikov was given 2 minutes for roughing. He's got to watch that temper in those situations. Just got to let that go a little bit. He doesn't have weaknesses in his game, but it's one thing you notice. He does have the temper. Shorthanded chance for Aho during that. He had another opportunity as well, so Aho, one of the better penalty killers. Teravainen fires one wide, but then a power play marker for St. Louis. It's Buchnevich from Kyrou and Thomas at 12:30 with 1 second left in the power play after those opportunities for Carolina. Blues go back to the power play. That was a no. They get another power play shortly after that. That is also a no. Lyon denies Buchnevich his second goal. Everything's killed off during that. Svechnikov couldn't bury one in the final seconds. So it's 2-1 for the Canes going into the third period. Early in the third, 48 seconds to be exact. Tarasenko scores from Barbashev and Thomas. And the shots were 6-4 for the Blues with 7.5 minutes left. And again, as all these games are getting around the overtime time of things, I'm like, okay. And the interesting thing is this game started half an hour after the other ones. This one ended maybe a couple of minutes after the Montreal-Detroit game. So it shows this game went a little bit faster than the other games that started before it. So Smith scores from D'Angelo and Martinook at 17:03. And just like that, it's 3-2 for Carolina. So for St. Louis, they were probably thinking, okay, so we get this to overtime and then we can go for the win. Rod's team says no. Goalie was pulled immediately thereafter. Aho had an empty net chance that was blocked. Lyon was making big saves. 24.4 seconds left. There's a timeout. And then there was a commercial. So this is where I'm glad that I have the center ice package on the TV. I also have the NHL live through the NHL website. Just in case, if we're in the States and I don't have access to one, I have the other. I'm really glad that I have both. What had happened was this stupid TV feed right here switched feeds. It went to the Vegas game. That hadn't started yet. It wasn't going to start for another 10 or 15 minutes. Or no, it went to the Seattle-Minnesota game. So I'm like, wait, what? So I watched the last 24 seconds on the computer after watching. Yeah, I was choked. I was like, wow, they switched feeds with 24 seconds left in a 1-goal game. So Carolina holds on while I'm down here yelling. Yvonne came down to see what I was upset about. But Carolina wins. They go to 11-2. St. Louis 8-3-2 on the season with the loss. Nothing to hang your head about in this one, right? It's Carolina. Your 3 stars, Aho, Brendan Smith, who got the game winner, and Alex Lyon, who came in and did really well as the goaltender tonight. Shots were 7-6 Carolina in the first, 13-9 St. Louis in the second, and they outshot Carolina in the third, 10-8. Final shots 29-24 for St. Louis. The power play, St. Louis 1 for 4, Carolina 1 for 2. Hits 23-10 for St. Louis, so they were playing the physical game as well. Hofer saves 21 out of 24, and Lyon saves 27 out of 29. Some of those saves being of the spectacular variety. So, next up. All right, so when there's 8, 9, 10 games on at a time, I look over here and I go, it's Arizona-Nashville. Arizona's not winning that game. That's where we're at. I have never, in the time that I have had this channel, looked at a team and said, before games even started, well, they're not going to win. And that's where we are with Arizona. The only win they have this year is over Seattle, who might arguably be almost as bad as Arizona right now. Vejmelka versus Saros was your matchup. The shots were 2-0 for the Preds at 5 minutes. The Coyotes didn't have a shot at 9 minutes. And when this is happening all the time, it's easy to say, well, this isn't going to go their way. Duchesne would score from Yossi at 11:14. Roman Yossi was in for a big night tonight. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and things were really brawly. So they throw out, there was 2 defensemen thrown out for Nashville. Nashville was going to go with 4 defensemen. You should be able to score on a team that's 2 defensemen short. Nah. So the Coyotes get chances in the second half, maybe because, defensemen are getting thrown out. Preds get a power play and they score on it. Yossi from Tolvanen and Duchesne at 18-12. So that's Yossi, 2 points in the first period. We go to the second. Coyotes get the first shot of the second period. I thought that was notable because why not? Penalties were overlapping early on. We get back to 5-on-5 and Granlund scores from Tolvanen and Yossi at 7:02 and makes it 3-0. In the last minute of the period, Coyotes get a power play. Unsuccessful. To start the third, after that power play had ended, they get another power play. They had a lot of power plays tonight. But Yossi would score at 5:54 right after his penalty ended. He came out of the box. He gets the shot, the initial save made by Vejmelka. The rebound goes right to him. And then he banked it off of Vejmelka and into the net. So it was a nice goal there by Yossi. And then there's a too many men on the ice call. And so the Coyotes get a power play. They do score on this one, and it's Chychrun. I've been waiting so long for Chychrun to finally get on the scoreboard. I'm glad it finally happens. from Kessel and Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere has a ridiculous number of points considering nobody in Arizona scores ever. So that's at 1330. That makes it 4-1. That one also went in off Matt Benning. More scrappiness late. The Predators get a power play. That was a no. But they win 4-1. Your Predators now are 9-5-1. Arizona's 1-13-1. Again, can this team win 8 games this year? Can they equal the futility record of the Washington Capitals? They're on pace right now for 4 wins. Maybe 5, depending on mathematically how you look at it. Either it's 4.5, so maybe it's 4, maybe it's 5. It's not enough. 3 stars, Yossi, Duchesne, and Tolvanen. And I know people are going to say, well, they tore the team down. This is insane. I've never seen anything this bad in the entire time I've watched hockey. And I saw the Ottawa Senators their first year. It can take a long time to dig your way out of this. The shots were 6-5 in the first in favor of Nashville, 7 apiece in the second. So it was exciting all the way through. Shots were 11 apiece in the third. Although I will say, if you like fighting, this was your game. Final shots, 24-23 for Nashville. Power plays, Arizona goes 1 for 6. Nashville goes 1 for 3. The hits were only 18-8 for Nashville, because if it got physical, it meant pushing and punching and fighting. Vejmelka saves 20 out of 24. His numbers continue to fall now. Saros saves 22 out of 23. Not an overly busy night for him. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't play Riddick in this game, because it's Arizona. I'm surprised they're not just seeing backups at this point. But that being said, I need to change boards. Okay, so if you look at this end of the board, there's a team that I cheered for that won a game tonight. If you look here, there's one of my Finn magnets. And I had that Finn magnet up there before the game because I had a feeling on how things would go. But let us talk about Dallas and Philly first. It's Jones versus Hudobin, the Rave jerseys for Detroit, or for Dallas. So I'm always disappointed that they don't just play rave music the entire night when they're wearing those black neon green jerseys. So, yeah, Jones versus Hudobin. Early shots for the Flyers. The shots were in their favor, 4-2 early in this one at 6 minutes. Flyers get a power play. Atkinson fires one wide. Hayes had a shot that was saved as the power play ended. Hudobin was absolutely the story of the first half of this period. I don't think you come out of this game tonight seeing Dallas as all of a sudden being fixed. It's just Hudobin stands on his head. Glendening scores from Klingberg and Suter at 13:23. The Flyers then get a power play. That was a no. There was a review that showed that the Flyers didn't get a goal, so that comes off the board. There was a press by the Flyers with 1.5 minutes left. However, we go to the second period with the score 1-0 for Dallas. The Flyers get a power play 30 seconds later. It's a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off. The shots in this point were more than 2-1 in favor of the Flyers. Giroux had a drive that was saved, and then Dallas scores again. It's Rope Hintz who's finally heating up from Guryanov and Robertson at 12:22. I don't know if Steve Dangle has dropped Rope Hintz and Joe Pavelski from his fantasy team. I know he had both. I don't know if they can stay hot or not. So, anyways, we'll see. Van Riemsdyk then scores at 16:36 to make it 2-1. But then less than 30 seconds later, it's Sagan, who, if he can get going, would really help Dallas too, from Peterson and Sekera at 17:02. So it's 3-1 Dallas after 2, and they had a much better second period than their first. Third period, there was a late Stars power play as well, and then in the third period, the Flyers finished that power play, to finish off the kill. Stars get another power play, they score on that one. That's been a problem for them too, right? Pavelski scores from Hintz and Radulov at 2:27, so it's 4-1. Flyers then get a power play, and they score on it. Provorov scores on the power play, his first of the season, from Brassard at 8:07. Foxa then had a net feed that was blocked. Guryanov was robbed. And Philly pulls the goaltender with 3 minutes left. Foxa hits the empty net from Glendening at 17:57. That is, for Foxa, the first goal he's had since opening night for Dallas. So they want him to heat up too. Dallas wins this one 5-2. They go to 5-6-2 on the season. Philadelphia drops to 7-4-2. So Philadelphia's record, it drops a little bit. Your 3 stars, Hudobin, Hintz, and Pavelski. Your shots, 19-7 Philly in the first, 10-5 Dallas in the second, 14-9 Dallas in the third. Final shots, 33-31 for Philadelphia. Your power plays, 1 for 4 for Philly, 1 for 3 for Dallas. hits 23-13 for Dallas. Jones saves 26 out of 30, and Hudobin saves 31 out of 33. So Anton Hudobin, your first star, and he's the only reason they came out of the first period of the lead. Otherwise, yeah, Philadelphia probably ends up winning this game, but didn't happen. Next up, Colorado. It looks like the Avs might be back on track. This was interesting because, of course, you get 7 players back in the lineup for San Jose. There's 2 ways to look at this. You can look at this from an optimistic point of view and say, you know what, it's going to take them a while to get going. Or you can look at it from a cynical point of view and go, man, you send the kids back down and this is what happens. It's Hill versus Kemper. The shots were 3-0 for the Sharks at 3 minutes, and they score at 3:17, and it's Couture from Ferraro and Meyer. The shots were 8-0 for the Sharks at 7.5 minutes. This game was all San Jose. Then the Avs get a power play, and just like that, the game turned. Taves scores from Girard and Kadri at 10:10, and then Kadri scores from Nichushkin and Jack Johnson at 13:55. So after a really good start on the road for San Jose, all of a sudden they're behind by a goal. Avs get another power play. That was a no, and then there was too many Sharks on the ice with 9.1 seconds left, so there's another power play for the Avs. The Sharks would finish the kill early in the second period. There was a 4-on-2 for the Sharks, and they missed the net. And you can't be doing that when you got a 4-on-2. The shots were 4-2 for the Avs at the half, so the Avs were playing all right. Weatherby then couldn't hit an empty net, and then Newhook can hit the net. He gets his first from Girard and Magna at 12:38, and that celebration he had and the way that the team greets him, I think he's a pretty popular guy in that team. So yeah, 3-1 lead there. The Sharks get a power play. During that power play, O'Connor, who is becoming quite the story for Colorado. It's been kind of a rough start to the season. O'Connor has been great, though. He scores the shorthanded marker from Helm and Eric Johnson at 15:33 on a breakaway. Absolutely beautiful goal. So it's 4-1 starting the third period. Girard with an early chance was saved. Jack Johnson was then denied by Hill. Yeah, Jack Johnson, right. Murray had a point shot blocked. Their defense, that Colorado defense, very good tonight, and just their point production from their blue line's been great. Sharks get a power play. Good shorthanded play again by O'Connor. However, Barabanov scores on said power play from Hertl and Erik Karlsson at 9:02. But Colorado answers. Burakovsky from Landeskog and Girard at 10:13. So no sooner has it become 4-2, and you start to have that conversation about, well, maybe comes 5-2. Compher had left after the first period, upper body injury. He did not return to the game. Newhook with a rush chance that was saved, and then they pull the goalie, and they pulled the goalie early because they're behind by a bunch. And Girard hits the empty net from Kadri at 16:37. Sam Girard had a really good game, so that empty netter makes it 6-2. The Avs go to 6-5-1, and for the Sharks, it feels like it's kind of starting to fall. They're 7-6-1 now. Your 3 stars are Girard, Kadri, and O'Connor. The shots are 12-10 San Jose in the first, 11-8 Colorado in the second, 10 apiece in the third. Final shots 31-30 for Colorado. Power plays 1 for 2 for San Jose, 1 for 5 for Colorado. The hits were 19-13 for San Jose. Hill saves 25 out of 30, not his best game. And it's clear now that Reimer's the better of the 2 goalies. At least I think so. Kemper, 28 saves on 30 shots. And he's been quietly getting better as the season's gone along. And we'll see if his numbers continue to improve. However, there's a goalie whose numbers didn't improve tonight, and that's Thatcher Demko. Not that Leonard's were fantastic, but comparatively speaking with Demko's. So it was Demko versus Leonard. Miller scores from Höglander at 3:09, so the Canucks get off to that fast start, right? They finally get a first goal. First time in 10 games they score first. And then they get a power play. At the end of the power play, Pearson scores from Garland and Hunt at 5:56. So that's Brad Hunt's first point as a Canuck. I remember when Brad Hunt was with the Canucks during a preseason. Never played with them during the regular season, but he was with the team in a preseason, and then he ended up going elsewhere. So it's nice to see him get a goal. Winning off of Pearson's skate as the power play ended, and yeah, so that's a 2-0 lead. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how do you screw this up? So, yeah. Vegas gets a power play. That was a no. Strong period so far for the Canucks. Things get fighty with 1:17 left. Vegas gets a power play, and then we get 1:33 of a 5-on-3 for Vegas with 50.7 seconds left. They score on the 5-on-3 because, of course, they do. Dodonov scores from Stevenson and Theodore at 19:46. So Vancouver comes out of this period with a 2-1 lead, but Their penalty kill is still hurting them. I know it's a 5-on-3, but we'll talk about it. Second period, Canucks finished the kill. Besser had a shot that was saved. Vegas presses at 3 minutes. Marchessault couldn't bury one, but when the Canucks try to clear it out, they messed up, and Smith gets a goal from Lecision and Pietrangelo at 5:50, and suddenly it's 2-2. Canucks press at the half. Puck goes the other way. Myers is caught out of position. McNabb scores from Theodore at 10:51. Canucks had a 4-on-3 power play. That didn't score, which became a 5-on-4. It's the same power play, but just 4-on-3 to 5-on-4. It doesn't score. It doesn't matter. Leonard then denies Pettersson. However, Höglander at 17:15 gets a really smart goal. The puck was beneath Leonard. He didn't have it covered. Like, he didn't, it wasn't in his possession. It was underneath his pad, and so Höglander just puts it in. So, nice goal by him, and it ties it up at 3. With 2:26 left, Vegas gets a power play. Colasar can't bury one. We get too many Golden Knights on the ice. It was a 4-on-4, and the parade was on. But third period, Pettersson and Myers collide. Smith had a rush chance that was saved, and then Lecision, after Dodonov hits a crossbar. Lecision scores his first NHL goal from Dodonov and Colasar at 2:20. But Colson almost answers, and then Höglander does from Myers and Hughes at 3:13. So yeah, the Canucks are right there, right? Just step for step. It's 4-4. This game's crazy. And then Iceberg right ahead. Power play goal. So here's the thing. So Demko knocks the net off. Is that delay of game? Well, is it intentional? Do you measure intent? So the debate right now is, so the Canucks, that shouldn't have been a penalty, and all that really hosed them. So I understand that that's a controversial power play. You got to kill the penalty. I've told Vegas fans since the 5-minute major, remember, year 1, that killing a penalty is an option. It would be hypocritical for me not to say the same thing of the Vancouver Canucks, whose penalty kill is the worst in the league. And it is hurting them a lot. And it did in this one too. Marchessault scores on the power play from Pietrangelo and Coghlan at 8:24. That's where you need that kill. That's where you need to say, you know what, our goaltender, that shouldn't have been a penalty on him. Let's band together. We're going to make this work. This penalty kill being this bad, I mean, when Mott comes back, that should help, but this is bad. And now they go to Anaheim tomorrow night. Anaheim's power play has been pretty good this year. I don't know how much optimism there's going to be that the Canucks come out with a win on this road trip. Dodonov would then add one from Stone at 14:04, and JT Miller, baffling play there. He just fell down. He had the puck, and he just skates it towards the blue line, and then just sort of fell down. And so Stone takes it, goes, thanks. Mark Stone was back, as I knew he would be, and Dodonov with a goal there. He had a good game. And then at 15:27, Demko and Myers kind of did their Benny Hill impersonation, and puck goes in the net. Demko should have just covered it. Marchessault gets the goal from Smith and Stevenson. I was surprised they gave 2 assists. I thought that the Canucks had kind of possessed it, but again, they kind of Benny Hilled it. I had the music in my head, and now if you watched it, you do too. You're just reliving that play and going, yeah, no, Benny Hill, you got it. So Vegas wins this one 7-4. They go to 9-6. Vancouver drops to 5-8-2. I don't know. I don't know what happens from here, but it's like I said after the last game. If people want to see change take place in Vancouver, they have to lose ugly. They have to lose big. We can't be looking after these games and say, well, it's a moral victory because, which I heard a lot after the Anaheim game. And this is what happens when you have those moral victories. Is the team goes, well, we should have won that game, so... And then things can fall apart. Your 3 stars are Dodonov, Lecision, and Marchessault. The shots were 10-9 Vancouver in the first, 15-13 Vancouver in the second, and 17-16 Vancouver in the third. Defense was clearly not a big deal tonight. Final shots 42-38. There were 80 shots in this game in favor of Vancouver, who were 0 for 1 on the power play. Vegas was 2 for 3. You need to kill penalty. The hits were 33-23 for Vancouver. Demko saves 31 out of 38. He had the nice Glenn Hall type save tonight, but at some point, I think the whole team's being weighed down by this. Leonard saves 38 out of 42. I don't know where they go from here. All right. I honestly, I have to say, honestly, if after this video was done, I found out that Travis Green was after this game, I would not entirely be surprised. Aquilini's on the trip. That's not why he's on the trip, but watching that, he has to on some level be thinking, man, something's got to change, right? All right. Next up, Seattle. Seattle at home against Minnesota. And Minnesota is one of the few teams that they've been able to beat this year. And tonight, Minnesota came out and right away made it clear that wasn't going to happen again. So it was Grubauer against Talbot. That should be reversed. Talbot versus Grubauer. Blackwell, early chance in his debut for Seattle. Didn't see a ton of them after that. Wild press, Grubauer makes saves there. Dumba had a shot blocked, but then Rem Pitlick, who was in for a big night, he scores from Hartman and Goligoski at 12:33. So, 1-0. Wild press for another. And they were 4-1 when they scored the first goal coming into tonight. They've had trouble scoring the first goal too. The difference is they win when they don't score the first goal. Although sometimes scoring the first goal is overrated too. So the Wild did press for another than the Kraken. With 4.5 minutes left, only had 2 shots. They're at home. They're trying to get their fans into it. They only have 2 shots with 4.5 minutes left. Second period. First minute, the Kraken pressed. Kaprizov couldn't bury one. Alexiak had a shot that was saved. There's a press by the Wild at 5.5 minutes. Kaprizov at the net. Grubauer covers. Pitlick would score from Hartman at 7:44. Makes it 2-0. Seattle starts getting things going at this point. They tried to answer. Larson had a blast that was saved. They start getting some more shots, way more than they had in the first, right? Things get scrappy with 8:20 left, which, I mean, Seattle throws a bunch of hits. The interesting thing is they threw half of their hits in the first period of what they had tonight. They had 17 hits in the first period. The rest of the game, they recorded 17 as well. Power play for Seattle, which was 0 for 19 at home coming into tonight. That's not great. And with Vegas' power play, feasting on Vancouver's penalty kill tonight, Seattle's now looking up at everybody. As far as I know, Seattle's got the worst power play in the league, right? So there was a shorthanded rush for Eriksson. They end up killing off that power play. Yarncroke had a chance, was kicked aside. Donato with a net drive nearly scores. However, in the final minute, these are the killers. Pitlick from Hartman at 19:19. It's a breakaway goal. It's a natural hat trick, and he went around Grubauer like he was standing still. So I don't blame Grubauer on that one. It was a pretty goal. It is a natural hat trick. I didn't hear them explaining that either. I know with the Seattle broadcast they explain a lot of it, right? Because there's new fans. 3 goals in a row by the same player is a natural hat trick. So if the first 2 goals were Pitlick's and then Johansson gets one and Pitlick gets one, if Johansson was still with Minnesota, it would not have been a natural hat trick. But that's what we had there. So third period, early press by the Wild. Donato had a rush drive that was saved. Seattle overpassed on their next rush, so they should have taken a shot. They didn't. But we're getting desperate hockey from Seattle. This is what we need to see from them a little more regularly right off the opening faceoff. They get a power play, and Seattle scores on that power play. It's Johansson from Wenberg and Eberle at 9:19. So Marcus Johansson gets his first as a member of the Seattle Kraken. Seattle goes back to the power play. Donato was denied. It's killed off. They would pull the goaltender, which allows Sturm to hit the empty net from Foligno at 14:54. So they pulled the goalie early. And then 6-on-5, because they pull the goalie again, because why not? Wenberg scores from Schwartz and Johansson at 19 minutes. Seattle calls a timeout. They don't generate another goal. They lose 4-2. Minnesota goes to 10-4 on the season. And for Seattle, they're 4-10-1. So it's getting worse for Seattle. Notably worse. Your 3 stars are Pitlick, Talbot, and Johansson. The shots were 6-3 Minnesota in the first. Exciting first period. 13-9 Seattle in the second. 14-7 Seattle in the third. Again, if they played the entire game the way they played that third period, probably would have come out with a win. Final shots, 30-27 Seattle. Power plays 0 for 1 for Minnesota, 1 for 3 for Seattle. Your hits, 34-24 for Seattle. Talbot saves 28 out of 30. Grubauer saves 18 out of 21. So again, the other goaltender has better numbers. And then you get into that whole conversation, right? Or 30-22 were the shots. That's a 2, not a 7. 30-22. So Minnesota only gets 22 shots and they get the victory. This is something Seattle's got to figure out. But anyways, there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight's games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Now I need to give myself an aneurysm figuring out the power rankings for tonight and get them posted not too long after this goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I will talk to you again very soon.